Our theme for the month is Vision 2020, Clear Focus. And our subject this morning is the Sankofa principle. And very often we have this expression that we like to use, and that is that hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. And usually when we speak in those terms, what we're really referring to is that somehow along the way we got a little bit off track. And when we realize that we take a look back and we see what we should have done, what probably might have been the course of action to take, and we didn't know then, but we know better now. And so we say hindsight is 2020. Or other people remind us as we are telling the story about our past and everything, and they'll say, yeah, hindsight is 2020. And it is in a lot of ways. And oftentimes there is a bit of resistance because of the things that we oftentimes begin to see as we examine our past, as we look at things that have transpired, and we feel a bit of regret, we feel some pain, we feel some disappointment, we may experience all of those things. But this morning, I want to first of all say something to you, and that is give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. Now, I know there are definitions and ways of people use the word grace, but this is my own definition and use of grace. And some of you have heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it now. When I talk about grace, particularly when we look at our past, what I'm really referring to is the fact that in the moment, we made the best decision that we thought possible, given all of the information, given everything else that was available to us in the moment, we made the best decision possible then. Now, while we may look back later and realize that it might not have been, what we wanted it to, that in that moment, it was what we thought was necessary and possible. So give yourself some grace. Often I see people beating themselves up about the past, and there's no need to. Give yourself some grace. And as we do that, we can begin recognizing and realizing that the past has some value for us. The past represents some opportunities for us. The Sankofa principle, Sankofa is a West African concept from the Akan people that basically talks about, I like to define it in this way, looking backward to go forward. Looking backward to go forward. That there are some things that backward glance tell us and provide us, and when we can allow ourselves to get and grab the richness of the moment when we look back, it can propel us forward in ways that we never even imagined. We can learn to appreciate the past. Recognize that we are not prisoners of the past. We're not to be beholden to or so a part of the past that we don't let go and allow ourselves to experience the future. And that's important for us to remind ourselves again that we use the best information that we had in the moment to make those decisions. And realize that now that we know better, we do better. Now that we know better, we do better. That the past can present some wonderful opportunities, some wonderful ways of growing, some wonderful ways of being. One of the ways that I came across the definition that I have of grace was years ago when I was in seminary. And I was doing something that we call clinical pastoral education, where we had to take a year. There were 3 academic years, and there was a year of internship or clinical pastoral education, and mine was clinical pastoral education. And that summer, I worked at the Children's Medical Center in Dallas. It was a tumultuous summer for me. It was very challenging. Being a chaplain there in the hospital, one of my really trying times were those times where I had to walk into the neonatal ICU and see little tiny babies attached to tubes and machines, some of them so small that there was any wonder that they were holding on and clinging to life. And I remember the first time I went in there. And you know, back in those days, I was fearless. I'm going to be this great amazing minister, great amazing chaplain, great amazing thing, and I damn near passed out in neonatal ICUs because I stood there. I looked at this really small baby and started breaking out in sweat, and I realized if you don't turn and get your behind out of here, you're going to be on the floor. And that summer, there were a lot of tumultuous things that happened. We were attached to the hospital there. It's attached to Parkland Hospital, which is a level 1 trauma unit that we shared on-call responsibilities with them. There were many cases where I had to go over at times and be at Parkland for different things. When an airliner, Delta airliner, crashed at the airport, at DFW airport that year, had to go respond to that, respond to many other different things. It was very trying. And at the end, I remember sitting down with my supervisor, and he said, well, John, you've had a summer here, you've had an opportunity to do some things. How would you describe your summer? And I started going into all of the stuff that I did wrong. All of the ways in which I had let people down and how I hadn't gotten along in this particular unit, in the oncology unit, I had issues, all of those things, and he stopped me. His question to me was, that's fine, but what did you learn? I sat there for a moment, and he said again, and what did you learn? And I said, wow. He said, not wow. Grace. Grace. What did you learn? And then I began to share the things that I saw, what I learned about me, the growth that was there, the continuing growth edges that were a part of it. Looking back on the past can help us identify, and applying grace to the situation, applying grace to the circumstance makes the difference for us. When we can apply grace, and when we think about the many different religious traditions, and one of the things that is important for those traditions is the process of remembering, and how powerful remembering is, how powerful it does things for us. And a part of the reason why is because it provides us with lessons from the past and helps us to understand things about ourselves and things about our communities and all of that. But it also orients us toward the future. Because many of you have heard the expression, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So knowing about our past, knowing about it, whether it's collectively or individually, is important. It helps to orient us toward the future. Many of you, or maybe I might be the only person in this room, but I'm a big fan of the show on public television, Henry Louis Gates' Finding Your Roots, as he helps people, mainly celebrities, to understand about their past using their DNA evidence and tracking other things down to help them to understand who they are. And very oftentimes, some of the struggles that they might be having in the present time and all of that, some of those go back to where they've come from. Some of those go back to when there are certain family members that they don't know about, or certain secrets that were a part of the family that ultimately, when you take the cover off a secret, it loses its power, and then you become empowered and allows you to do the things that you need to do. So it's important for us to understand that by looking at the past, by allowing ourselves to see the lessons that are there, by being in the place, it orients us toward the future. And the final thing that looking at the past can provide for us, it can give us energy for the future. Provide us with a sense of enthusiasm for the future. You know why? Why? Thank you. Because when you begin to look at all of the things that you have been through, all of the things that you have experienced, all of the things that have happened in your life, you begin to understand that despite all those things, you are still here. You are still here. And the fact of the matter that you have survived and remained here is a wonderful testament to the presence and power of the universe that continues to guide us, continues to direct our lives, continues to animate us, continues to move us and give us all that we need, the tools that we need. That presence and power provides us with it. When we are in situations and circumstances, the creativity, the creative solutions, the options that come available to us, the knowledge and the wisdom that is there that makes it possible for us to be here, that makes it possible for us to stand and say, I am here. I am the sum total of my experiences, and I am here. And the fact that I am here is something to celebrate, something to be proud of, something to throw our hands in the air in a way that we recognize the joy of the moment, and we have it, and we embrace it, and we give thanks for it, and we know that it is ours. There's a gospel song that they like to sing, and I like to hear it because when I hear it, I really think about it and think how true it is. And the song talks about when I look back over my life and I think things over, that I can confess that I've been truly blessed. I've got a testimony. Testimony. The fact that you and I have made it, that we are here. Life might not be perfect for us, but we're here. May not be all that we wanted to be, but we are here. We have made it. Woo! Doesn't that make you feel good? I have made it. I am here. Every inch of me right here and now rejoices as I look back over my life. Think things over. I've got testimony because I've been blessed, and you have